Okay, again, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our second compliance webinar, which will focus on delivery-only commercial cannabis activity. My name is Rocky Wiles, and I am the Division Chief for the Compliance and Enforcement Division at the Department of Cannabis Regulation. For those of you who didn't attend our first webinar, our division became fully staffed in July 2023, and we launched our compliance inspection program earlier this year in February. Additionally, our enforcement and investigations team has been working hard investigating complaints from the public and from other agencies. You may be wondering why focus on delivery today? Well, our investigations have revealed that many of our licensed delivery-only businesses, which hold a Type 9 license, are operating outside the bounds of their license. As a result, we've had to revoke some delivery licenses, while other businesses choose to relinquish their licenses rather than appeal the violation notices or pay the substantial fines. As I mentioned in our first webinar, our goal is to achieve compliance through education combined with progressive enforcement. We don't want to put businesses out of operation, but we do have a duty to ensure that our licensees operate within the law. Delivery businesses that act as a full retail operation undermine our Type 10 licensed retailers, whose overhead and regulatory processes are way more complex and expensive. These retailers are already struggling against illicit market competition. Delivery-only licensees don't face the same land use restrictions, overhead, and construction costs as retail storefronts do, yet some seek to profit by operating outside of their licensed scope. Today's webinar will focus specifically on Type 9 delivery-only businesses, as I mentioned. But before we dive into the content, I want to take a moment to acknowledge my incredible team. Many of you have already interacted with our compliance analysts and can attest to their responsiveness, thoroughness, and professionalism. I'm very proud to lead this dedicated group. So the Compliance and Enforcement Division plays a critical role in maintaining the integrity and safety of the cannabis industry. Our team is responsible for conducting annual compliance inspections to ensure that all licensed cannabis businesses adhere to the regulations. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, today's focus will be on the compliance requirements for delivery-only businesses. Here's the agenda. We're going to talk about delivery regulations. We'll walk through and clarify the regulations specific to Type 9 licensees. Prohibited activities. We've noticed, like I mentioned, some businesses getting creative with loopholes, which we strongly discourage. Common violations. So we'll go over the violations that we encounter most frequently. We'll also explain the violation types and their penalties. We'll explain the financial impact of receiving a notice of violation. For instance, we've assessed over $250,000 in penalties against one delivery business for operating as a retail store. And then we'll just go ahead and do some Q&A. So our goal today is to provide you with a clear understanding of how to maintain compliance and help your business thrive within the regulatory framework. I'm looking forward to an informative and engaging session. And now I'd like to hand over the presentation to Mr. Fred Ely, one of our compliance analysts. Fred, go ahead, take it away.
Hello, how you guys doing today? My name is Fred Ely. I'm here to kind of help you guys through some of the delivery requirements. As Rocky mentioned before, this is a great opportunity for us to help you guys without some of the financial encumbrance. So if we could go to the next slide here. Okay, as you guys see here, the regulations are regulation number 5. This is where all our rules come from. You can reference this on our website. No need to go into the details of it, but you guys can see it there, and everything that we kind of cover is going to be dealt with directly in that page. Could we get the next slide? Okay. So the following slides will discuss the compliance requirements and common pitfalls, which may end up costing you money, right? So we want to make sure that you guys are not incurring these additional fines in addition to what Rocky mentioned earlier, is like some of the challenges that you guys have in the workplace. So this is important to make sure that you guys stay on topic. So next slide, please. All right. So compliance with operational requirements, delivery employees. Everything here is pretty self-explanatory, but the one thing I do want to focus on is number 3 here. In number 3, the identification badges. So this is something that we often have to cite employees and cite locations and licensees in regards to. So if you guys could take a look at your badges now and see if they meet these requirements. If not, ensure that all your staff are wearing the proper badges and badging themselves correctly as they move throughout the locations. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide here, you see the in-person delivery, vehicle markings, and unmanned vehicle. The thing I want to really bring attention to you guys is if you look at the image that we have here, there's a guy and he has markings on his truck. The one thing we do not want to do is put markings on our vehicle, as that kind of makes you a target within the community, and we don't want you businesses to be a target. So if you guys have a business and you guys have vehicles, just ensure that they are not, they have no markings on them, right? Thank you so much. Let's go to the next slide. So delivery orders and receipts. So this is often an area in which we do write a lot of violations, okay? So the one thing that I'd like to focus on and I'd like everybody's attention is in regards to this, licensees must also prepare a hard copy or electronic delivery request receipt for each delivery. And if you look at all these different things, if you guys, I know you guys probably don't have your delivery receipts right in front of you, but take a screenshot of this page here and review your receipts, right? Work with, if you have Meadow, if you have Dutchie, whatever system that you guys have, set your POS receipts up to look exactly like this, right? So legal business name, license number, packing number, all these different things are issues that we've had, and they're very common issues, but they can be easily resolved by just, reviewing this section and ensuring that your receipt matches this exactly. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so electronic age verification is required for all cannabis sales and must abide by the following. So this is a section that's also kind of become a point that we chose to focus on here. So the device here has to be something that allows you to verify the age of the person purchasing it at the point of sale and delivery, right? So let's say they go to your website and they're able to verify their age there. Once the delivery is actually made, the person that's making the delivery will have to verify at that point, right? So I've made the sale on your website, and let's say the website is CannaWorld. Now the delivery driver prepares it, goes out to the site. There needs to be a secondary ID check at that point, right? So there's a device that's like the one pictured here, and there's possibly other options in the space, but we want to make sure that that point of sale, that device requirement is being checked at that point. Okay, make sure that all employees are trained on use of the device, and then this will be a great opportunity for you guys to record trainings. So make this a mandatory training for your staff and record that. All right, and the next slide, please. Okay, so this one is a major violation type, so I want to spend a little bit of time to discuss this with you guys. So one of the big things that we'll take away from this is number 4 here, GPS tracking. And a fixed GPS tracking device must remain active and inside the vehicle during operating hours. Okay, so this is something that in the field we often get quite a few questions in. So for clarity, this cannot be an iPhone. This cannot be a iPad. Those often leave the vehicle with the person and aren't really sound devices or code meeting devices. We want to have something that's affixed to the vehicle, And so I don't want to, I'm not here to work for any one specific brand, so I don't want to promote any one. But, there are different ways to have these products affixed to your thing, and I would look outside of your phone or mobile iPad. Also, there's a thing here that says product visibility. I've seen different locations do different things. Some will use a lockbox inside the trunk. Some will use a lockbox inside the back seat. But what you don't want to do is have cannabis goods in plain view, right? That kind of goes towards the markings on the vehicle and everything else, right? So we want to make sure that we are not, creating some kind of lockbox that keeps the product away from hidden view, right? And then also the GPS thing. So the GPS, I want to just repeat and repeat and repeat for you guys that it cannot be an iPhone and it cannot be a iPad or iPad related device. Okay, next slide. Okay. Oh, hours of operation here. So this is kind of clearly pretty much cut and dry for you guys here, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. We don't want to start before that, and we don't want to complete after that. So make sure that you guys are adhering to those product deadlines. I mean, those delivery hours and delivery deadlines. And then this is one I haven't really dealt with, but if you're moving a lot throughout your violation, throughout your delivery process, then $10,000 is the amount of product that you can have within the vehicle at one time, right? I think oftentimes you guys are not really going out with $10,000. It may be, $600 at most, right? So, but this is something to be aware of. So I hope that I was able to kind of shed some light on some topics that come up quite frequently for us during our inspections. And now I'm going to pass it off to Aaron Washington, and Aaron Washington is going to take the rest of the way home.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate the introduction. Can we get the next slide, please? Okay, a licensee shall not consume cannabis or cannabis goods or be under the influence of any substance that mentally or physically impairs an employee while making deliveries. Major violation, make sure all your drivers are in good health and are not impaired while driving. Can we get the next slide, please? If there's an arrest conviction, a licensee shall notify DCR in writing of an arrest or criminal conviction of an employee involving a delivery vehicle, either by mail or electronic mail within 48 hours of the arrest or conviction. If the arrest or conviction happens in the delivery vehicle, make sure you reach out to DCR and DCC within the right amount of time frame. Can we get the next slide, please? All delivery vehicles must be registered with DCR, including the vehicle's make, model, color, the VIN number, which is the vehicle identification number, license plate number, and license plate number. DVPs, which is the delivery vehicle placard, must be kept in the vehicle at all times and provided upon request. To find the DVP placard form, it's simply on our website. You can go to cannabis.lacd.org under the compliance tab. It's in section of forms and resources. The form is titled, the form is labeled ENF-3004-FORM. Again, ENF-3004-FORM. Please make sure you complete your DVP forms, submit them to DCR compliance at LAC.org, and make sure your vehicles are registered properly before completing any deliveries. Register the vehicles with DCR within 30 days, obtain the DVP before use, notify DCR of any fleet changes via email, again at dcrcompliance@lacd.org. Next slide, please. Okay, signage. Licensing with Type 9 licenses shall post a sign at each entrance of the business premises that meet the following requirements. As far as language, the language must state no on-site cannabis sales. The sign must be eye level. The sign must be 8.5 by 11 with lettering at least 2 inches in size and a font of at least of 100. So again, if you're doing type 9, which is delivery only, there should be signage that says there's no on-site sales. That's very important. Can we get the next slide, please? In addition to signage, businesses must also meet the following requirements: the SOP, submit to DCR before inspection, and again, no public access. If you're doing just delivery, there should be no public access to your premise whatsoever. Very important. Can you get the next slide, please? Okay, at this time, I'm gonna take a little bit of time to talk between type 9, which is delivery only, and type 10, which is retail with delivery. It's very important to know which type of license you have before but make sure you know what type of license you have before knowing if you're in violation or not. So if we're talking about just type 9 only, which is delivery license, there should be no curbside pickup, no drive-through, or walk-up windows. That's all illegal for type 9 delivery only licenses. Again, type 9 delivery only licenses only shall not place delivery orders. There should be no orders made at the business premises. That includes or not limited to the use of a device such as a mobile device, computer, iPad, or kiosk. If you only have a type 9 delivery license only, you should not be having any type of mobile devices, computers, iPads, or kiosks where mobile orders are made on site. If you have a type 9 delivery license only, licensees shall not deliver to their own business premises, including any portion subleased to a third party or public rights of any walkway, sidewalk within 20 feet. Again, if you have a type 9 delivery only license, please make sure that you're not doing any type of deliveries on your own business premises or any portions that sublease to a third party or public rights of walkway or sidewalk within 20 feet. If you have a type 9 delivery only license, delivery of cannabis or cannabis goods to customers shall not adversely affect or detract from the quality of life or nearby residents, property owners, and businesses. And that will go for type 9 and type 10, as a matter of fact. So again, your business of delivery should not adversely affect your neighbors, residents, property owners, or surrounding businesses. If you have a type 10 retail license with the option of delivery and you are doing delivery, you do have the ability to do curbside pickup. Again, if you have a type 9 delivery, you have no curbside pickup. If you have a type 10, which is a retail storefront and also doing delivery, you do have the option to do curbside pickup. Very important that we understand the difference. Can we get the next slide, please? At this time, I want to pass the presentation off to Hector. Hector is our supervisor, and that's in charge over the enforcement and compliance team.
Thank you, Aaron. Hello, everyone. Hector Alicon, Senior Management Analyst, Compliance and Enforcement Division. And we will just be moving forward and taking a look at the self-assessment checklist and common deficiencies. Next slide. Oh, yes. As you can see, we have the self-assessment checklist added here as a link. If you went to pages 22 through 25, you'll see the self-assessment checklist as it relates to delivery. To identify and rectify any deficiencies, common deficiencies include, as Aaron previously spoke about, some of the most common deficiencies and the most egregious are on-site sales, walk-up customers, online order for on-site pickup, on-site or off-site kiosk for on-site pickup, off-site pop-up tents, temporary booths where product is delivered from the licensed business premises for customer pickup, lack of proper global positioning system, GPS devices in the vehicle, a failure to include proper delivery receipts, a failure to submit delivery vehicle placard, which is the ENF 3004 form. These are some of the most common deficiencies that our compliance inspectors go out and identify and include those on a notice to correct. If we can just move to the next slide, please. The violation types. Throughout the slide, you're going to see that it was in red bold. You'll see a major violation type, moderate violation type, and a minor violation type. As you can see, the ranges increase from minor $7,006 to a moderate fine of $21,013 to a major fine that is assessed the amount of $42,000 $26. As far as major violations, those violations include on-site sales, delivery by non-authorized employees, underage delivery drivers. As you can see, the violations related to, let's say, a licensed delivery only, acting as a storefront retail, allowing people to come into your property, allowing sales to be conducted on your properties through a kiosk, tablet, or anything of that nature. Those types of violations incur a major violation and will have the $42,026 amount assessed. Moving on to the moderate, which is violations that are identified as improper age verification device, failure to register delivery vehicles with DCR, failure to display DVP in vehicle. These items here can be quickly addressed via just contacting your analyst, or also going onto our website, downloading the forms and sending them to your analyst to meet compliance. Some of the minor deficiencies or violations that we identify as well is just failure to provide the proper delivery receipts. As Fred previously mentioned, those can be simply resolved by just reaching out to your POS system and revising or recalibrating the settings so you can meet all those requirements that are needed to meet the delivery receipt requirements. So let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, just before we start the Q&A section, I just wanted to make reference to the exterior of the property as well. Those same requirements for your delivery only premises, that you do need a location. So those requirements are still required. The exterior cameras, exterior signage, the ability to have your surveillance equipment video the exterior and interior, your limited access areas, as well as the commercial grade solid core doors at each limited access area. During the licensing process, if you have not received temporary approval, you would have an initial inspection prior to getting that temporary approval. That's a perfect time to go through your premises, get ready, speak with your analyst, and then meet those requirements. Once temporary approval is achieved or obtained, our compliance team will go out there and schedule some compliance inspections to go out there to your premises. Prior to that, you have numerous resources within the DCR community. We have our DCR, our cannabis.lecity.org website that you can go on there, click on any of our divisions within our department. We have the social equity division, our licensing team, our compliance team. There's numerous sources and links there that can answer any questions. We have resources such as the Business Learning Center under the Social Equity Program. So just take advantage of our website, registering your email address, and getting involved, knowing the upcoming updates and all the information that is attached to that website. So thank you for your time today.
Okay, so we're going to start the Q&A section, but just want to reemphasize what Hector just mentioned, that so this presentation, we covered things that are specifically to the Type 9 licenses. And the reason for this webinar is because we want to, help our delivery-only businesses comply with the regs, because we have seen that many of them are out of compliance. But in addition to this, we had another webinar back in August, and I'm going to ask our comms team to maybe put the link in our chat. But as Hector mentioned, the things that we look for when we do a compliance inspection based, to inspect the business premises, that applies to delivery businesses as well. So if you look at the webinar that we held back in August, you'll see the other items that apply to all businesses, that we do look for those things as far as graffiti, making sure the exterior is clean, making sure you have your lighting, all those things still apply. But again, we wanted to focus on the things that are just specific to the Type 9 businesses. So we'll go ahead and start the Q&A section.
Good afternoon, Rocky. We'll start off with the first question from Rakija M. Are retails required to acquire the same permits in 2025, whether it's storefront or non-storefront?
So I'm going to answer that question by within the context of licenses. Okay, so you are required to renew your license every year for both storefront and non-storefront delivery and retail. We don't issue permits, we issue licenses, and they are required to be renewed every year. Next question.
Next question from George D. Why can't our delivery drivers use motorcycles/Vespas?
The state and our regulations require that all deliveries be made in enclosed vehicles, and that regulation comes from the state. So yeah, no motorcycles, please.
Thank you. Moving on. From Madlena N. There are a few licenses that rent out DBAs. About 10 to 12 deliveries operate under 1 to 2 licenses. When will that be enforced?
Well, this is not permitted by law. If we see if we receive complaints like this, we will have to investigate them. So they will be referred to our enforcement team. If you see anything like that out there, please submit that complaint through our complaint portal, which is on our website, and we will go ahead and investigate.
Our next question is a follow-up from Madlena. Delivery services operate after hours until 3 to 4 a.m. Some are 24/7.
Okay, so no, as our folks just mentioned in the presentation, hours of operation are limited to 6 a.m. from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and that includes retail and delivery.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Luis M. Can you deliver to a public place?
So a delivery employee cannot deliver to an address located on a publicly owned land or in a building that is leased by a public agency. And you cannot deliver to a school that has grades kindergarten through 12. So a public place, it depends, right? So as long as it's not a place that is owned by publicly owned or leased by a government agency, then I would say yes.
A follow-up question from Luis. Can you deliver to a commercial address?
Yes, but again, I'm going to refer you to the previous answer. You can deliver to a commercial address as long as it's not publicly owned property or as long as it's not a building that is leased or owned by a public agency.
A question from Abraham M. Are there specific labeling and packaging requirements for cannabis products being delivered?
So labeling requirements depend on the type depends on the type of activity in delivery. So whether it's bulk delivery or if it's non-manufactured cannabis like flower products or manufactured cannabis products. So that's what that is what controls the packaging and labeling requirements, not so much delivery itself. So for example, if you're going B2B, those products, if they're packaged in bulk, have different requirements than your labeling, requirements for delivery to consumer transactions. I would refer you to the DCC text regulations. If you just do a Control F for labeling requirements, it should get you to that section where it goes into detail as far as what is required for labeling and packaging in the different activities.
Thank you, Rocky. This is a follow-up question from Abraham. Are there any upcoming changes to the cannabis delivery licensing process that we should be aware of?
Well, right now I don't have anything in the works as far as changes to our regulations regarding delivery, but I would just go ahead and review our website for any updates and information. Also, you can register your email address with our mailing list, so you can stay up to date with any updates to the regulations or the LAMC.
Question from Nick S. Will delivery be able to travel outside of LA City and LA County?
You can deliver anywhere within the state. So yes, you can go outside of the city and the county as long as you're still within the state of California. You're just not allowed to cross state lines.
Question from Initial P. Can I get fees waived due to economic hardships in the company?
I would say reach out to your analyst. That is more of a licensing question. I know that there's been some waivers, but I would reach out to your analyst for specific answers to that question.
Thank you, Rocky. Michael F. asks, are armed guards required and can the arms be tasers?
So security personnel is not required for non-storefront retail or delivery only. If you have questions about what weapons any type of security guard can carry, please contact the Bureau of Security and Investigative Services. That's the agency that licenses, that issues the licenses for security guards. So if you are going to hire a security guard or a company, to provide security guards, they would be able also to answer that question because they do have to go through an agency to receive their certification. But they're not required for delivery only businesses.
Question from Milton C. When will new applicants be able to apply for a delivery license?
At this time, we're only accepting delivery license applications from social equity applicants until January 1 of 2025.
A follow-up from Milton. Will there be any opportunities for small brands to apply for licensing?
So anyone that meets the owner and location application requirements may apply for a license. Some licenses are restricted to social equity individuals, such as retail, delivery, and cultivation until Jan 1 of 2025. But you can learn more about these types of questions on our website.
From Leheaven J, can a delivery be operated from a residential address?
Absolutely 100% no. Please do not do that.
Next question from Nita M. Why is a compliance inspection sought after delivery licenses have been issued?
So compliance inspections are required of all businesses that are operating. And most of the businesses that are actually, yes, all of the businesses that are currently operating hold a temporary approval, which gives you the right to operate. Our compliance program will be conducting compliance inspections for all activities, and not just retail, but all activities. And you have to be operating for us to go see how you're following our operational requirements.
Thank you. Our next question from Nita. Why do delivery licenses not automatically have a regulatory requirement to have a storefront license?
So delivery licenses are not subject to the same strict location requirements as retail licenses. Delivery license locations do not have to provide the buffering requirements from sensitive uses like the storefront retailers do. Except that, yeah, as with any other cannabis activity, everybody has to be 600 feet away from a school. But Retail licenses, which are the type 10 licenses, automatically allow the delivery activity component because they comply with location requirements, but the converse is not true. And for that matter, let me just again point out that the regulations under 5A apply to all businesses. So again, the items that we reviewed back in August apply to the delivery businesses, except for, and that compliance webinar was basically for retail businesses. So if you're looking at that webinar, the only things that do not apply to delivery only businesses would be, for example, the POS system, the security guard requirement. Those regulations do not apply to the delivery only, but everything else does apply.
Our next question comes from the initials JC. Will an age verification app on an iPhone be sufficient to meet the age verification requirements per DCR?
I would say that as long as the specifications for that app include the commercial use for age verification purposes, it would be okay.
This next question comes from two individuals, initials JC and also Carlos M. What is the earliest time deliveries can be made?
6 a.m. is the earliest. So the hours of operation are that are allowed are 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Let's see. The next question comes from Jiangsu W. Where do we get more information on the metric system?
So metric, and that's spelled METRC, metric without the I. It's a company. It's a track and trace company. I would encourage you to go to their website. They have many tutorials. They have online support. They would be able to answer any questions or provide technical support. But that is, Metric is its own company that provides track and trace system to the state. So please contact them.
Question from Raymond P. Do you need to work with one supplier? Can you work with more than one?
Yes, if you're a delivery business, you can, as long as your supplier is a licensed, manufacturer or distributor, yes, you can work with different suppliers. You don't have to just work with one. They just have to be licensed by the state and the city.
Thanks. Another from Raymond P. Is there an equity program?
Yes, absolutely. There is a social equity program. You can go to our website, and if you look under social equity program, you can find out everything and anything you want to know about our social equity program. Also, in our code, it's section 104.20. That is all about the social equity program.
Question from Steve A. As a non-storefront retailer, are you allowed to have a storefront kiosk that a customer can place an order from and receive a delivery at that location?
The answer is no, and that's one of the things that we have seen that delivery-only licensees might be doing out there, and the times that we have investigated complaints like that, those folks have been cited for that as a violation. So no, that is not allowed.
Thank you. From Philip A. Can you walk me through what an initial inspection for a Type 9 delivery license would look like and include documentation necessary?
So initial inspections are conducted by the licensing team prior to issuance of a temporary approval license. If you're talking about a compliance inspection, again, I would refer you to our webinar from August, so you can see all the different things that my staff goes through during their inspection. In addition to that, I think a very good tool is our self-assessment checklist. There's different sections within that checklist, and if you go through every one of those regulations answer the questions. You can basically inspect yourself, and then as you're going through, if you're answering honestly, you can see the items that you comply with and that you don't comply with. If you have questions about any of those items on there, please reach out to dcrcompliance@lacity.org. But the best way to answer that question is basically two. I would direct you to the webinar back in August, which we went through in detail through what a compliance inspection looks like. And two, I would also refer you to the self-assessment checklist, so you can see the items that staff checks when they go out to conduct the compliance inspection.
Thanks, Rocky. Question from Clarence S. Can I use my license in Mississippi from Los Angeles?
No, each jurisdiction has its own requirements. If recreational cannabis are legalized theirs, so no, Los Angeles issues its own licenses. And again, our city is a dual licensure requirement, so you do need to have a state license, and then you need your local city license in order to operate a cannabis business in LA.
Question from Nadav regarding the hours 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Does this mean that the final delivery must be complete by 10 p.m.? So the final order would be like at 9 o'clock, or can we take an order up until 10, but deliveries go out later?
The delivery, if that is the last delivery, I mean, you can make the delivery at 10 o'clock and that would be your last delivery. However, if that delivery person has to come back to the business, which I assume that they would have to because they have to drop off the car, I would say that the last delivery should not be at 10 o'clock because that person still have to drive back to the business and drop off their car. So you have to account for that time. The business has to stop operating at 10 o'clock. So just to be on the safe side, I would make sure that the employee is back at your business at 10 o'clock and basically checks out for the night by 10 o'clock. So the delivery would have to occur before 10. That's my conservative answer.
Thank you. Next question from Bob. Do all of our external doors need to have the no on-site sales sign, including doors to small streets?
I would say like your main, it doesn't say every door, but we do have a requirement in our regs that you have to place at least one sign I would put it on the major street front, not like, next to an alley or anything like that. But let me look at that and I will come back if there's anything more than that.
Okay, we'll move on. Next question from Bob. Is there a list of approved age verification apps?
No, we don't have a list of apps. Yeah, and even if we did, we're not really, can't really be promoting any one single app. So no, we don't have a list. I'm sorry.
A question from Avitas. Can we deliver to our next door business?
So we do have a regulation that prohibits, delivery within 20 feet of your storefront. And then of course, you have to make your deliveries in a manned vehicle. So you do have to meet those requirements. So you basically could not walk out from your business premises next door and deliver cannabis. You would basically have to get in your car and drive to the other business in order to make that delivery.
And I believe this might be our final question, also from Avitas. If by law I can carry a weapon, can I have it in my facility to ensure my safety?
You know, that is something that you have to take up with LAPD or the agency that is issuing your which would be whatever law enforcement agency is issuing your license to carry that weapon.
Thank you, Rocky. I think that is the last question in the queue.
Okay. If there's any questions that we didn't answer, we will post these answers online, I'm assuming. Gidget, is that what you guys usually do? Or what is the
No, but I would suggest that any follow-up questions to the compliance email address, if someone can maybe
Okay.
put that in the chat.
okay. I'll put that in the chat.
Lucky, it's literally on this slide.
Oh, okay. Yep, there it is. Thank you. Okay, just wanted to go back to the signage question. So this is one of the newest regs that we have for delivery businesses, so I wanted to make sure I had it right. So the regulation requires that the signs be posted at each entrance to the business premises, stating no on-site sales. And the regulation, which is regulation number 14 under section 5D for delivery, it has the specifications for the size and the lettering, but it does have to be at each entrance to the business premises. Now, if I don't consider, the rear door in an alley where, it's maybe for you to accept deliveries, I don't consider that to be an entrance per se. So if you have, like an exit into an alley, I wouldn't put a sign there. It would only be required at the main entrance. Well, I think I'm going to give everybody 10 minutes back, or do we just stay on to see if people have more questions until 2? I'll leave it up to a very capable comms team. Okay, JM says we can end it. All right. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's attendance. Again, if there's any questions, please reach out to our dcrcompliance@lacity.org and keep your eye out for future webinars where we'll be tackling other issues to help folks comply out there. So see you all around and have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.